These past few months, it's not been a fun time to be an AD carry in League of Legends.
AD carry is the single worst role in solo queue you can ever play in your life. It's absolute nightmare scenario territory horror.
Don't think the Riot Balance team really knows, but the role is dog.
A lot of people feel the AD carry role as we've known it is either dying or dead. So how did we get here? And will the changes in next week's patch be the light at the end of the tunnel? AD carries have generally and traditionally been range, scaling, and mechanical late-game monsters. A good AD carry has always been difficult to pin down and able to turn team fights in an instant if they're not focused down.
And they can't do it! Uzi is still alive and kicking, and Uzi is trying to carry the game right now! He can't get through the wind wall, but he can get through the health bars, the flash, the kills, the Uzi plays! Oh my God!
But recently, everywhere you look, AD carry mains are saying the role hasn't been in such a bad state in a very long time, perhaps ever. Even non-AD carry players have now taken sympathy.
Like ADC role is so piss. It's been the weakest role for the last half year.
So, what is going on? Well, let's talk about the basics. To start off, AD carries worked very well in the early days of League of Legends, when there was simply less damage in the game, and they were able to dish out their damage without getting deleted in a nanosecond first. Addressing damage creep and allowing for longer teamfights was a big change that Riot wanted, but some AD carries still feel like dodging multiple skill shots and playing near perfectly simply doesn't even come close to cutting it.
Is what it is, bro. Is what it is. Hey, season 14, but don't come crying to me. It is what it is.
Oh, they have a Rengar. Oh, they have a Talon. Oh, they have a Zed with 2 lethality items. Dead, 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 dead. As AD carry, you're the one that gets absolutely shafted when everything goes wrong or anything goes wrong.
And ever since the rise of lethality items in Season 14, the ability for assassins or anyone to bop AD carries from the map has become ever easier. In fact, lethality has proved such an effective stat this year that it's forced AD carries to say, it. If you can't beat them, join them. Traditional marksman crit items like Infinity Edge, Static Shiv, Rage Blade, and Lord Doms were nerfed. Meanwhile, lethality items like Ghost Blade got such buffs this season that you're basically trolling if you don't buy them on certain AD carries. Lethality was in, crit was out, and so too was a bunch of AD carries that relied on it. You might hear others go way back to 2019 and blame the minion XP nerfs that aim to balance top and bot lane XP intake, or perhaps the recent map changes that now allow for easier turret dives on AD carries whenever the enemy jungler feels like it. Another interesting thing I've heard blamed is simply the speed of the game. Junglers that need level 6 that come into their own, or control mages that excel in teamfights, are finding themselves increasingly irrelevant due to the sheer pace of the game. If you can't make an impact in the first 20 minutes or so, you can be pretty useless, but don't worry because the game will probably be over by 25 minutes anyway. Now that might be great if you like quick game turnarounds, and of course nobody wants to play for over an hour just to lose, but faster games are a bit of a nightmare for a traditional marksman AD carry in particular. Champions who were specifically designed to be scaling monsters that often don't start cooking till the 30-minute mark. So the speed of the game, the creeping damage, the old XP nerf, the fall of crit, and the rise of lethality, these are all being blamed as the reason for the AD carry's plight, leaving the game just not feeling great for the people who play that role. Now this is something that Riot August even admitted himself, but he also pointed to the fact that traditional AD carries are still essential parts of the game that are picked extremely regularly in both casual and pro play, so can they really be called dead? One final headache for some AD carry mains this season has been, surprise surprise, their supports. A support's role in whether or not their AD carry wins has arguably never been greater.
Everything goes wrong or anything goes wrong.
True.
It's disturbing.
True. The only bright spot about it is, though, it's fun to play if you get sub gap. Like, if your support is so much better, it's fun. That's it, though. That's it.
The support role has always been intended to, well, support the team, particularly the AD carry in the early game. But recently, things have kind of flipped on their head.
ADC used to be very OP. But what Riot did was they kept buffing support and nerfing ADC. And now we basically, support is the new ADC. There's no reason for you as an ADC player in solo queue to play ever ADC when you can queue up support, play Senna support, and just be basically an ADC but better.
And Senna really is a good example of this. Pro teams were quick to realize that she can outperform pretty much any traditional marksman.
I mean, literally got pentakilled last time.
God, what the?
my God. Please remove.
Nah, you can't tell me
remove
that's
this-
balanced, bro.
Remove this.
2
champion.
autos.
That's a support. That's a support. I'm just every time that happens, you just have to think that's a support.
Yeah,
So
he's not
dumb.
farming, by the way.
So dumb.
So yeah, for these reasons, among others, a lot of AD carry mains have felt this season has been a bit of a nightmare, built on top of pre-existing frustrations about their role and how it fits into the wider game. But there may be good news on the horizon. Patch 14.6, due to be released next Wednesday, seems to be offering some much needed love to core AD carry items like Lord Doms and Infinity Edge. And the same patch, Riot are looking to nerf support items like World Atlas, Runic Compass, and Hextech Alternator, as well as nerfing their gold income and Doran's Ring strat start. Even Senna is taking a hit.
Armor shred increased, and this is the big one. So AD carries are getting a massive buff, supports are getting weaker, which makes AD carry relative strength even stronger, Assassin slightly nerfed, Mages nerfed horribly, so all of these things are going to combine to make AD carries even more strong, so this is a big AD carry patch.
But Riot are fully aware they're walking a fine line here. Riot Froxon claim the strong state of support means they have to be very careful when buffing AD carries, something Nemesis agrees with.
If Riot were to buff ADC right now, botlane will be turbo OP. It already is OP, but botlane will be turbo OP because support is too strong. You can't just outright buff ADC.
And of course, there are those who think that AD carry players are just being entitled, that they need to adapt to the changing meta and can't expect to only ever play traditional marksman. Just like a jungler might have to learn how to play tanks or a mid laner learning lethality assassins if that's the way the meta shifts.
So they are buffing Infinity Edge, Navori Quickblaze, Lord Dominic and Mortal Reminder because all the AD carries are crying babies and they went to their Reddit and Riot as their mommy and daddy and they are just crying every single patch.
And all of this may also come down to the typical pro versus casual balancing dilemma. AD carries probably don't feel as bad to play at the pro level when you have a coordinated team of other pros looking out for you and funneling you resources. That's obviously far from the casual experience, but if Riot buffs AD carries too much to compensate for that, they risk creating a monster role in pro play. Either way, change is coming. A lot of AD carry mains seem to be pretty optimistic about the next patch and that it will help bring the role back to a decent state. But there may be something deeper at play here than a bad patch can cause and a good one can fix. Something fundamentally wrong with the role itself. At the end of the day, AD carries have always been extremely reliant on their team and have arguably the lowest agency out of all 5 roles. A rough season like this where their items get gutted and their supports outperform them can exacerbate the underlying feeling, but they might not be the root cause. So, what do you think? Is it nothing to really worry about? Will these changes smooth over the bumpy start to the year, or do Riot need to seriously knock down AD carries altogether and rebuild the whole role from scratch?